This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nirmin Sheikh. Before we talk about Modi's visit next week, I did want to ask you about Tilo, the young woman you referred to, who is a character in your book, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness, Arundhati, who has a lot of similarities to one you. She was trained as an architecture student. And talk about that. Talk about her place and your place in this novel.
Well, actually, to me, Tilotma, is the fictional child of Ammu and Velita in The God of Small Things. Had their story ended differently. She's the younger sibling of Estepan and Rahel. So, you know, I know her well, but I'm not her. But yeah, she and Anjum are in some ways, you know, women with such different kinds of strengths and moods, you know, and generosities, and very different in that Anjum is much more external in her expressions of pain or grief or joy or poetry, and what she wants to do. She's an extravagantly, outwardly expresses herself. And Tilo in the book is called the city, a country who lives in her own skin, a country with no consulates, a person whose quietness destabilizes people, you know, a person whose most intimate, whose signs of being intimate with someone is to not greet them, or you know, to not change her expression when someone she loves comes. So very different, but most of all different in their attitude towards womanhood. Like Anjum finds a young child on the steps of the Jama Masjid, and she just falls in love with her, an abandoned little girl, and she falls in love with her mostly because the baby just holds her hand and starts howling and isn't scared of her. So she takes her back to the Khwabga, where she's adopted, called Zainab, and Zainab grows up with lots of mothers and fathers and in this unorthodox way. Tilo, on the other hand, is someone who's a little bit wary of motherhood. She could have a baby, and but she doesn't want it, and she doesn't want to put another version of herself into the world. She thinks that she'll be an even worse mother than her mother was to her. And she's also curiously alone. Like, she has a relationship with Musa, who becomes a militant in Kashmir, and Musa is a man of his people, and she loves that about him because she thinks that she has no people except for the dogs that she feeds in the park. So she's very, very strange, strong woman though, you know, and a little bit on the edge of crazy, but yeah, that's who she is.
But let's go now to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's...
Wow, what a jump!
Speaking of countries.
Yeah, his trip to the United States, coming to D.C. next week to meet Donald Trump, President Trump, for the first time. Let's go to comments that Trump made last year to the Republican Hindu coalition.
I am a big fan of Hindu, and I am a big fan of India. Big, big fan. Big, big fan. Prime Minister Modi, who has been very energetic in reforming India's bureaucracy. Great man. I applaud him for doing so, and I look forward to doing some serious bureaucratic trimming right here in the United States. Believe me, we need it also.
So that's Trump speaking on the campaign trail to the Republican Hindu coalition. And now, just recently, on the occasion of Trump's birthday, a right-wing group in India called the Hindu Sena celebrated Trump's birthday. So could you talk about that, first of all? And also, you know, a lot of people have been saying that Trump and Modi are very similar. But you said that there are very important distinctions between them. So if you could talk about that.
I don't know whether it was this group that you're talking about or whether it was last year or whenever. There was in the same Jantar Mantar where much of this book is set, some people were celebrating Trump's birthday and they had a cardboard picture of him and they were feeding the cardboard picture cake. And some TV...
It was just now, earlier this month on the 14th.
No, so I'm talking about an early occasion. Okay. And then they, the TV crew asked them what was happening and they said, oh, we are celebrating the birthday of Donald Duck. But, so it was very funny. But anyway, yes, there are, to my mind, very serious distinctions between the phenomenon of Trump and Modi. Look, I'm not, like a real close commentator in American politics, so I might be wrong about what I'm saying. But from what I see, Trump somehow has sprung up from the sort of effluent of a process where the Democrats, who claim to be the representatives of workers, of unions, of the people, has betrayed them, has left a group of people disenchanted, furious, and even more furious when Bernie Sanders was not the candidate and it was Hillary Clinton. So Trump comes in as a kind of outsider, suspected and mocked, perhaps rightly so, by the media, by American institutions. There's an inquiry against him. You see the big wheels, or what I call the deep state, also a little bit worried about him. Whereas this is not the case with Modi. Modi, as I said, is a product of the RSS that from 1925 has been working towards this moment. The RSS has hundreds of thousands of workers. It has its own slum wing, its own women's wing, its own publishing wing, its own schools, its own books, its own history. Its people are everywhere. The movement is from the ground. You have to give them that. They have worked endlessly. So Modi is the opposite of an outlier. He is someone who's right now the RSS is in control. The only thing is that the RSS is a little bit, I think a little bit worried about this single man who's taking all the attention, and maybe they are preparing an heir to Modi because he has destroyed government. It's just between him and what's on the street, So much of what government policy is being executed by vigilante mobs, and the bureaucracy, the party itself is being put into a corner, and it's just Modi and his lieutenant Amit Shah, and everyone else is humiliated. And then there is this whole, the great strong man and temples being built to him and so on.
If you could create the meeting that will happen between Modi and Trump as you've created the communities in this book, what would you make happen? What would help India, the India you want to see, Arundhati?
It would help if both of them were sent to the frying pan park in Virginia with all the turkeys that are forgiven on Thanksgiving. I think, the meeting isn't going to help us because that's not the issue, right? The issue is that what do they represent and why? To me, it's not important to me to mock Trump or to say things about Modi, because the real question is, why are they, and you cannot dismiss the fact that they are people who have been elected democratically. So there's fire in the ducts, and that is the problem. It's just, they're both easy meat. They're both easy to laugh at. But I don't think it's a laughing matter, and the point is that someone like myself, I am in a position where one is in a minority of voices right now, and even though I'm a writer, and I don't necessarily believe ever that the majority is always right. So there's something very wrong going on, and that wrong has been created by the people who are criticizing Trump now. So we do need to think about that seriously. You know that more. I mean, you've been following it, and you know that better than I. And it's the same in India. The Congress Party has opened every door, lit every fire. Now that is burning, we can't look at them as an alternative. They have been involved with massacres themselves. They have created vigilante groups themselves. They have created communal conflagration themselves. They're just the B team. So.
You visited Edward Snowden in Russia with the actor John Cusack and with Pentagon Papers whistleblower Dan Ellsberg, who was just in our headlines today. What was that like? We have less than a minute to go.
Oh, it was wonderful, phenomenal. I mean, most phenomenal to see Dan and Ed talking to each other about what it meant to be a whistleblower in the 70s and then now, And to me, from the outside, I did wonder, like how long is it going to be? That was Vietnam, there's Korea, there's Iran. I mean, history just keeps reinventing itself. And again, today you hear them saying, oh, it's going to be a long war, So, one enemy of America turns into another, turns into another, turns into another, but the big wheels keep on turning, and we don't have enough Snowdens and Ellsbergs around.
Well, Arundhati Roy, it has been a pleasure spending this hour with you. Of course, it wasn't enough, so we're going to do a short post show after, and we'll post it online at democracynow.org. Arundhati Roy is the author of the new novel, The Ministry of Utmost Happiness. She won the Booker Prize in 1997 for her first novel, The God of Small Things. This is Democracy Now! It's produced by Mike Burke, Dina Guzder, Carla Wills, Laura Gottesdiener, Sam Alcoff, John Hamilton, Robbie Karen, Honey Masood, Trina Nadura, Andre Lewis. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.